Hi, my name is Chet. I'm the CEO of Avion Technology here from Chicago, Arlington Heights in Chicago. And this is a small video that I have done. Uh, it's called the distilled wisdom from 1,000 projects. So in the last 15 years since we've started, we've done more than 1,000 projects thus far. And there's a couple of nuggets now of wisdom, little pearls of wisdom that we can kind of glean from all these 1,000 projects that we've done. So this was just an attempt to kind of get them all together to help ensure a better outcome for your project and a better long-term outcome for your project. So the first is, and this is project management 101, is please remember the iron triangle, which is time, cost, and quality. You can have two of those, but not all three of them, right? So for example, if you need your work done on a very strict deadline, which is time, and you also need it at the highest quality, right? Then you will have to sacrifice in terms of the cost, right? If you need the work done at the cheapest price, and of and you need it done ASAP, then unfortunately you would have to sacrifice on the quality. So please keep the iron triangle in mind. This is unfortunately project management 101, which is time, cost, quality, and that you can have two of those, but you can't have all three of them. That's the first one. The second one is a sense of reasonableness. In all the projects that I have done, the projects that ended on time and turned out to be successful were the ones where you had reasonable people on both sides of the table. I have seen that when you have reasonable people on both sides of the table, there is usually a faster issue resolution protocol, a faster issue resolution cadence, and that kind of tends to make sure that the project's overall cadence is not disturbed and that you get to the finish line in time. We often hear these stories about individuals like Steve Jobs and a lot of these 20-something billionaires, 20-year-old billionaires, and stories of how they really push their developers to the brink, and really all this type A kind of behavior. But the reality still is that developers are people, and they have feelings and they have emotions. And when you're reasonable, you tend to make sure you tend to be a fair person, and when you're a fair person, teams respond well to that. So the second quality that I've seen, which kind of augurs well for project management success, is reasonableness. The third is perfection. In any field, perfection is now, I think in all mental health studies, perfection is now taken as almost a psychiatric disorder. But jokes apart, perfection in any field now is kind of looked at as kind of an unachievable ideal. And nowhere is this more true than in the software development space. We live in times when there's devices being churned out every 3 months. A new model comes out every 2 months. There's a new browser which comes out every month. A new version of a browser which changes every 15 days. So in this proliferation of devices and browsers and technologies, perfection becomes almost an impossible to achieve goal. I've read that great is the enemy of good, and I would say that perfection is the arch enemy of great. So in this field, if you want to make sure that your project makes it past the deadline, definitely aim to have a good product. But if you're looking at having a great product, that's unfortunately going to make sure that your horse never gets out of the stable for a long time. And if you're looking at perfection, then that's again, that'll make sure that your project is kind of it'll essentially delay your go-to-market for your project. So to avoid that, I think have reasonable standards of quality to make sure that your project makes it to the market in time. I am in no way advocating compromising on the core features of your project, but when we say perfection, we're talking about an individual who just goes into the minutia of things, down to the very last pixel, and that is a quality which can sometimes delay your project's delivery. So don't aim for perfection, aim for a good product, and once you're out there, you get your market's feedback, you get your users' feedback, come back and have a second iteration, and then go out, get some more feedback, and have a third iteration. That's what is the best practice in the software industry. Perfection is outdated now, which takes me to my fourth point, and that's about the rule of, and this is mostly for our product development customers, and that's what I call the rule of 1, 10, 100,000. Most of us think that the wealth or the germ of our project is in the idea, but it's actually not in the idea, it's in the execution, right? Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of clients waste a lot of emotional bandwidth in getting their MVP out, their minimum viable product out. So this is mostly for them, and I think everyone should look at this concept, which is that even before you start the development, you will have your first customer, which is you. The moment you begin development, you should have the first 10 customers signed up already, and that's easy. That's usually your friends and family. By the time your product is developed in the first 3 months, during the time of developing the MVP, you should go out and be able to find 100 customers, right? What that does, it gives you something called MRR. That's monthly recurring revenue. That's the number that VCs look at. When your product has a monthly recurring revenue, $3,000, $5,000 per month, it helps them to evaluate your company. And when they evaluate your company, they're ready to sign you checks and take you from 100 users to 1,000 users, and from 1,000 users to 10,000 users. So my advice to you is that don't spend all your emotional energy, your bandwidth, on trying to make a perfect product. Use that time to go out and find your first 100 customers, because your product is never going to be perfect, but the feedback that those 100 folks give you is going to help you make a better version, a better iteration, and roll it out. So these were just 4 pieces of wisdom from the 15, 17 years that we've been in business, and the successes that we have seen. Remember the iron triangle of time, cost, and quality. Number 2, be reasonable. Number 3, don't aim for perfection. And number 4, don't fixate on the MVP, on the development process. Use that time to go out and find your first 100 customers. If you do all of these 4, you're already on your way to success, and we would love to be your partners in that journey. Thank you so much. This is Chet here from Avion Technology here in Chicago, wishing you the best of success for your project.